the 3 or 4 younger doctors, and they at that time the Orgonomy door reaction. I didn't even go into that. Maybe I'll go into the next hour. But anyhow, they did more to destroy the accumulator than even the Food and Drug Administration, because they said that the door emergency had gone so bad. Door does change argon energy into more door, deadly argon energy. And they said it was so bad, especially in New York City, that the accumulator was useless. And accumulator devices, so that helped the FDA, and no problem. Nobody's going to use it because it was very dangerous. Well, I skipped around a lot.
Is there any truth to that, Dr. Silva? Is there any
No. That's ridiculous. I mean, I have all my patients who still have the accumulated blankets. They never develop Orgonomy reaction, door reaction.
What would that look like? What would that look like, that reaction?
Well, you get the Orgonomy. Well, the door reaction is a generalized reaction which somewhat simulates a very bad cold. And also, whatever weak spot the patient has, the door would exacerbate it. Liver, lungs, or stomach, or anything else. And
door busting at that point?
yeah, it was door busting, but they do use the door buster. I mean, they did for a while. They don't do it anymore. But that's all following the Orgonomy experiment, which I don't want to get into right now. It's 11 o'clock, and we're going to have a break and have your coffee.
Why don't we take a break, and we'll start in 10 minutes. Anyone who hasn't paid for today's lecture, please see me. There are bathrooms over there.
Yeah, I'm comfortable, but it's hard. I mean, to get it all, I mean, in one. I have to skip around. I like to get in a lot of the personal stuff.
Well, maybe you should do another one.
What?
Maybe you should do another one.
Yeah, but it's gotta be very specific. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well.
Okay, we'll start again. And during this hour, among other things, we will listen to a tape that we have of Dr. Wright at a clinical seminar, which will give you some examples of how he worked. And this particular tape deals with the treatment of a breast cancer. And Dr. Silva will comment on it. I realize that I've listened to this tape many times and used it with my students. This tape is historically very significant because it marks probably one of the first examples on record, this is back in the late 40s, early 50s, of a lumpectomy that was carried out at a time, as you know, when that was not considered even anything but quackery. And now, of course, lumpectomies for treatment of breast cancer are considered quite appropriate, and even life-saving. So, Dr. Silva will make some introductory comments, or talk a little bit more, and then we'll go and listen to the tape, and then we'll take questions.
Oh.
You want to start with the tape?
Yeah, it's not the tape.
You can start the tape, and this is the presenter, I think, Dr. Sophie Condeno, I think it's Dr. Rayfield, who was doing the presentation of a woman patient that he was seeing.
To New York with a cancer of the breast. She noticed a lump in her right breast about a year ago which continued to grow. In view of the fact that she had very little faith or confidence in the medical profession, she had for a number of years been under the care of a chiropractor. After she had seen the results of some of the women she knew who had undergone surgery and x-ray for breast cancer, she felt that there must be some more rational approach to this problem. About a year ago, she read some of the publications of Dr. Rice and felt that his approach to the cancer problem offered the only real solution to the problem. After more investigation, she decided to contact all the research laboratories and seek help. About 6 years previously, she had noticed a lump in the same breast, which went away after some chiropractic manipulations. She was the third of 6 children, and as far as she can remember, her relationship with her parents was a very good one. As a child and throughout the rest of her life, she suffered a great deal from fatigue. She was often taken out of school because of this fatigue. Her menstrual periods were mostly irregular with some pain. Her right arm always felt weak and tired easily. She noticed this especially when writing letters. The feeling of fatigue diminished as she grew older. Between the years of 1934 and 42, she suffered from underlying fever. For many years, she suffered from a tightening in her hands and feet and was being treated for rheumatism. Her relationship with her husband seemed to have been good. About 5 years ago, he became impotent. She felt that she could not mention the subject, and even though she did not like it, she accepted it. As a young girl, she began to masturbate but gave it up because of very strong guilt feelings. Most of her married sex life seems to have been satisfactory to her. Her husband was a very nervous person, and because of this, she always tendency to feast spikes. The observations give an 85% beam reaction with occasional free bodies. The microscopic examination showed the microscopic examination showed the supernatant fluid was clear and yellowish. The flakes were large and settled easily. The blood culture showed no teeth growth in 48 hours. The vaginal secretion at that time showed much degree and numerous nodal rock bacteria.
There's a lot of tech. This is the blood test and the examination Dr. Sobey was describing.
To use the accumulator on the wound before the wound was closed. When it was expensive and that it would not interfere with the surgical...
Let me explain where this is. Pick up here. What they had decided to do was to not proceed anymore because the woman was having a very, very intense reaction to the treatment. The lump was significantly reduced to a very, very small size, but rather than continuing to try to eliminate the tumor without any intervention, they decided that for the health of the woman that they would operate and remove the lump. They arranged through contact with some doctors at the Leahy Clinic near Boston to have an operation done. And he's describing the procedure that they got the doctors at the Leahy Clinic to agree to, and then soon Dr. Wright will come in with his comments.
Wait, they consented. They also consented to do a simple excision of the tumor, which is very unusual for them. The examination of the tumor microscopically immediately after the operation showed cancer-free formations on the upgrade with occasional cancer 5 cells. Another thing which was noteworthy was that the surgical wound showed very little bleeding. The cancer was of the serous type. The patient did very well. We expect to hear any day now. The other day, we received a telephone call from one of the doctors that another surgeon was present at that time there and watched our procedure. Reported this surgeon to the chief of staff of this clinic, which is the Leahy Clinic, whereupon he and the other assisting surgeon were called to task. He was threatened with expulsion from the clinic, and the other surgeon, who was a fellow at the Leahy Clinic, was also threatened with expulsion. It seemed to me that there was a terrific amount of ignorance and a great lack of interest shown by the surgeon as to what he was doing. He wasn't, in his training, he did something he shouldn't have done, and he did it without asking himself why. He did it quite irrationally. The person the surgeon who we asked to do the operation was someone who studied at the institute. And I had the general impression that he was more afraid of our procedure than
That's Simeon Trop.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to say, Simeon Trop was one of the other doctors, not
Rachel. It was okay.